Welcome back to the channel and welcome back to another round of Bases Picks. As always, please like and subscribe, share with a friend, a colleague, a relative, an associate, an enemy, any and all in between. It's appreciated. Now, as you guys know, it's Canelo Alvarez versus Jaime Munguia. Tonight it's Inoue versus Luis Nery. Monday, so that's what we're going to be talking about. There is another card on. I think it's taking place in Argentina. I'm not 100% sure, but I know Evelyn Bermudez is on that card, and I think Manny Rodriguez is on that card as well. I think that's being done by sort of Tyke Sports. So just very quickly on that, I'm expecting Emmanuel Rodriguez to win that fight via stoppage inside 9 rounds, and I do think Evelyn Bermudez will get a unanimous decision in hers. Now we're going to move over to the Golden Boy Promotions card between Canelo Alvarez, Jaime Munguia, or the PBC card. Actually, it's probably PBC, not Golden Boy. So we're going to go over to there, talk about that fight, then we're going to move over to the card in Japan, Bank Holiday Monday. Okay, so we're talking Canelo versus Munguia. Honestly, I have no desire to speak about the undercard. I don't particularly think it's that strong. I do think it's a bit trash. However, what I do believe is that Mario Barrios will win his fight. Probably KO. I'm probably inside sort of 9-10 rounds. And I think Amanda Stanionis will win his fight inside 9 rounds. Inside 7. I'd say sort of 7 rounds for him. So that's just to get those two out of the way. All the others on the card, like Jesus Ramos, Vito Melnicki Jr., and whoever else is on there. I think Picasso Romero as well is on there. Alan Picasso Romero. Yeah, I haven't really got time to go into this. So let's talk about the main event. Now, the main event has an extra layer of intrigue added to it because of the frustrations Canelo Alvarez has with Oscar De La Hoya at this point in time. That in itself could change his perception from a mentality point of view, but what I'm looking at is more so him versus Jaime in the fight and how it would play out just in a normal circumstance. So obviously the first thing you notice is Jaime Munguia has got the size and the reach advantage over Canelo, as most of his opponents do have. Jaime, especially in his last fight with John Ryder, showed a very good jab, a jab that has actually been improving over the years. It's just he doesn't often use it, but working I feel like he's been working recently on that jab, and it was definitely like showing up and putting John Ryder in awkward and uncomfortable positions. So I think that Freddie Roach has definitely been sort of sorting out some of his deficiencies that he does have. He's very much offense is his defense type of person, so he is known to be sort of like a volume puncher. However, again, in that John Ryder fight, he wasn't throwing with the same level of volume as he usually does. So maybe now he's trying to be more strategic and cerebral and trying to pick shots better. In that scenario, that actually probably leads a bit better into Canelo's wheelhouse, because if there's not a huge volume coming back at him, it's a lot easier for him to be able to find the counters within the shots and find the openings if he's able to sort of see a shot coming 1 or 2 at a time as opposed to 3, 4 and 5. But I do see the fight playing out fairly. I see the first 2 to 3 rounds being fairly docile, not a huge amount happening in any of the first 3. I think Canelo will probably go to impose some big shots early on, just to show Jaime, this is a different level of power than what you've been facing. And I think that Jaime will be looking to try and find openings around Canelo's guard. So I think it's going to be a bit more tactical in those sort of first 2 to 3 rounds. But from sort of the 3rd round on, I feel like Canelo would have found his range enough to whereby he can actually start walking Jaime down, obviously behind his guard, using that big upper body movement that he has, and actually going looking for Jaime more so within the center of the ring, as opposed to trying to get him to sort of fight with him off the ropes. And in those moments, I can see him ripping a lot of shots to the body and the arms, as opposed to trying to headhunt, especially early on. Jaime has been hurt on a few occasions before. He's been hurt by Sergey Derevyanchenko. He's hurt by Gabe Rosado down at 160, I think, when they fought down there. He's had some other sort of interesting moments where he's got good powers of recovery, but he does wear shots at time, and you can see those shots get through. Again, this is all before Freddie Roach, and that could be a difference in the two. But what I've noticed is a lot of people who usually trade themselves on being volume punchers, David Benavidez also being one of those, when they've actually stepped up the level of opposition, the level of volume has gone down. And that in itself is where you look at those world level and those elite level guys. That's what they do to you. They stop you being very confident to throw, because you know that counters are going to come your way, or you know that you're going to leave yourself open for the moments when you're not able to exchange, that they can come back. So I do see Jaime being a bit more economical and trying to sort of land some big shots. I don't think he'll try and jump on Canelo early. I think he's going to try and bank on this going past the first 4 to 5 rounds before he starts to really unload his heavy artillery, because a lot of people will say that Canelo, you know, gas tank, he kind of wears out, needs to take rest and breaks and recovery throughout a lot of his fights. So that's what I think is going to try and play out. The only problem is, I think that within those sort of first 2-3 rounds, Canelo would have invested enough of those heavy shots, like again towards the arms, the body, maybe a couple of headshots, where Jaime gets a bit more holstered. And even though he's gonna try and rally, he's gonna try and fight back, I feel like he's gonna be fighting against the current. And for that reason, and you know, if you tack on the fact that whenever Canelo is angry with someone or upset with somebody in a lead up to a fight, he has more spite and more ill will and intent in his shots and his exchanges. I do see Jaime trying to be competitive and trying to hang in there, but I do see this fight ending. I'm actually predicting, I think, round 9. Between rounds 8 and round 9, I think the fight will be over, purely for the fact that Jaime is not gonna clam up and try and use his feet and move away. He's gonna stay in the fire, show the pride, but in doing so, showing that obviously that Mexican pride and grit and toughness, he's gonna get caught in an exchange, possibly with a body shot that puts him down. But I feel like the body is gonna be the opening to keep him concerned about the body, to lower the hands, to end up getting caught, probably with a straight right up the top, which starts the damage, and then a left hook and maybe a right hook leads and follows on, and he either goes down and can't beat the count, or the referee jumps in, waves it off, or he gets stopped on his feet. So yeah, that's my prediction for this one. I do think Canelo Alvarez wins, and I predict it to be between rounds 8 and 9 in a knockout. It could be a little bit earlier, it could be sooner. I mean, it could go to points, but that's my prediction. 8 to 9 rounds, KO stoppage for Canelo Alvarez. Okay, so now if we go over to Bank Holiday Monday, we're looking at Naoya Inoue versus Luis Nery. There are a couple of the fights on the undercard I do want to speak about on this card, because this card is for those lower weights. This is a very, very good card with a lot of big names for people that follow, you know, super bantam, super fly, etc. So I want to start off, before I get into the main event, with Takuma Inoue versus Sho Ishida. Now, anyone who follows those lighter weights will know Sho Ishida is he's pretty much a legend in Japan. Not in the stakes of one of the best to ever do it or the greatest of all time, but he's a very well respected guy. Former champion. He's got those kind of accolades. He's very well known and respected. Now he's taking on Takuma Inoue. Obviously, Naoya Inoue's his younger brother. I'm trying to think, what's their records? Takuma, I think, is 19-1, and Showa Shida, I think, is like 34-3, and this is for the WBA bantamweight title. If I'm correct, I believe I am. I see now in Takuma Inoue's last fight, he surprised me when he actually started fighting and staying in the pocket, and actually got a stoppage victory, which is something that's not really, that's not something that's easily done for him. He's only got, that was his 5th stoppage in 20 fights. So, he's definitely usually like a boxer move, like, stay on the outside, get, counter shot, pivot out of the pocket, and, sort of just keeping up a pretty decent to high work rate. But in that fight, he showed me a lot more grit and determination, and I was actually worried because there's a few times I saw him taking shots that I felt were extremely heavy, and I was wondering, like, why are you in the kill zone there? That's not your type of fight. But he showed that it was. So with that being said, I feel like that fight may embolden him a little bit more for Showa Shida, for him to look to maybe press the action and trying to deliver that action-packed fight the same as the last one, and potentially look for a stoppage. Now, I do think that will play to his disadvantage, especially in the first half of the fight. But I feel like he will bank enough rounds sort of in that first half, maybe like 2 or 3 out of them, that he will then sort of retreat from that tactic and move to and box to a decision victory at the end of it, because Showa Shida is getting up there in age, so he doesn't have the same legs that he used to have. He's still got a decent pop, but in terms of being able to close the distance, get into range and stuff, he's not quite where he used to be. So I feel that's where Takuma Inoue will be able to get his advantages in that sense. Now, the other fight I want to speak about is Jason Maloney versus Yoshiki Takei, who's 8-0 with 8 KOs. He's come from kickboxing, so he's a former decorated kickboxing world champion. I think he pretty much won everything that there was to win inside the kickboxing space. And then you've obviously got Jason Maloney, who won the vacant title against he won the title off of Vincent Astrolabio in a vacant title. This is a couple of fights after losing to Inoue. I like the Maloney twins, good lads, Capricorn guys, you know the deal, in and around the same time of the year as me, a couple of days apart in birthdays. So yeah, but look, in this fight, I feel as if, even though he's shown he's got toughness, he's got grit, he's never been the best at dealing with like just raw power. And I feel as if Takei, while he doesn't have the level of experience, the fundamentals and the good quality work rate of a boxer such as Jason Maloney does, he's got a much better upside. He's got more like room to grow. He's got a bigger ceiling and trajectory. He's a bit crude at the moment, but he does have power. Those 8 KOs, if you actually go and look at them, like they're not nice viewing, if you know what I mean. Like, he's got power, and when he lands, you hurt and you stay hurt. In this moment, I feel it would be a situation where Jason Maloney will be in the fight, probably even winning on a lot of the cards, like trying to grit it out. But I feel Takei's gonna basically just invest, sort of. He's gonna bank round after round in terms of a bit of damage here, and just look to sort of break Jason Maloney down and just sort of work him out that way. And ultimately, I think that Takei, after the midway point, sort of at the end of the 6th, he's gonna make some significant inroads, and then from there it's gonna be almost like a survival job from Jason Maloney. And I feel like he's going to take some serious punishment in the 7th round, and then within the 8th round is when he will succumb to the damage that's being inflicted, and probably the referee will stop the fight. I think he'll try and get up. He'll try and sort of stay on his feet. he'll sort of try to sort of battle through, but the referee would just see that this is only going one way. He's getting just beaten up in the ring, and mercifully it will end up being stopped, and Takei will end up becoming that WBO bantamweight champion. Yeah, that's kind of my thoughts on that, so let me know what you guys think. Now, moving on to the main event, because I don't really know much about what I think may end up being the chief support, which is Inoue versus Kawahara, I think it is, but I can't remember off the top of my head. But yeah, so look, Naoya Inoue, Luis Nery was banned from Japan on a lifetime ban. They lifted the ban just so this fight could take place, so you clearly know that Naoya Inoue is only taking this fight for one of two reasons. It's either because he just knows that he can win this fight and it's an easy undisputed defense for him, which is not what I think. But number two, because he's been waiting for years to face Luis Nery, and he really doesn't like him. He really wants to do a job on him, especially after, you know, what happened previously with, you know, the failed test and the missing weight, you know, against the golden boy, the golden child of Japan earlier on in his career. And I think because of that, Inoue, every time he's in there, like every time he throws a shot, even though he always throws shots to get people out of there, I feel like he's going to have more spite and malice on each one. Now, he does have to be careful because Luis Nery does hit hard. Not only does he hit hard, he's also going to try and bully. He's going to try and close the gap, collapse the pocket so that Inoue can't get full extension or get enough torque in a lot of his shots. He's going to try and sit on his chest and wear him out from there. Pause. But I do think that Inoue, just knowing what this means to him and knowing what this is going to mean to the country, even though it's going to be a pretty spirited effort from Luis Nery, especially in the first half when he does use that chin to great effect, I feel like there's going to be some nasty body work that goes in and ultimately stops this fight. And I am predicting that Inoue will win against Luis Nery in the 8th round. I'm thinking an 8th round KO via a nasty body shot. Yeah, that's the thoughts. Actually, you know what? No, I'm gonna say the 9th. I'm gonna give Luis Nery one more round in there because ultimately I don't think that. Now I think about it, Inoue isn't gonna want to just beat him and get it over quick. I feel like this is gonna be one of those, like, you know, those nasty jobs, those, you know, where you kind of almost take pleasure in the punishment. Sometimes you might even pull a shot so you make sure it connects hard, but just not hard enough to end it. Like, you just want him to carry on taking a bit more beating, just a bit more beating. I think he might do that. So yeah, that's why I'm now changing from the 8th round to the 9th. But that's my opinion. Let me know what you guys think. I could be totally wrong, but that's how I see it playing out. But yeah, let me know what you guys think. Don't forget to like, subscribe and share as always. But for right now, that's Basis Picks. Locked.